Welcome to episode 26 of our third series on the surnames and DNA of early Southern families. To spare you from hearing a cultural geography lesson every week, I'll just say early Southern families. On today's episode, we'll discuss why some people in the late colonial era claimed a Scottish or Irish ancestry when an English origin was more accurate. Promises to be a thought-provoking show, so I hope you'll join me. Number 1, Ross. When I received the request for Ross, it brought back memories of working with my dad and learning about some of the conflicts that my own Cherokee ancestors had with Cherokee Chief John Ross and George Gist, who was better known as Sequoyah, the inventor of the Cherokee alphabet. It's tempting to elaborate on those conflicts here, but they deserve a much deeper dive than just a minute or two, and what that would allow would be very deep. For our purposes today, it's important to keep in mind that each of those historic figures had European fathers and native mothers. And Chief John Ross, born in 1790, died in 1866, who held the longest tenure, by the way, of any known principal chief of the Cherokee, was actually 7/8 Scottish. Chief Ross's father was the first of his line to settle in America. His name was Daniel Ross, born 1760, died in 1830. He was born in Sutherland, Scotland. As with most simple names like mine, they can have multiple origins, and Ross is no exception. There is a region in Scotland called Ross, so some carriers of the name adopted it from where they originated. Others in Scotland and England could have adopted it from an Anglo-Norman noble named Robert of Roos, Lord of Wark Castle in Northumberland. There could also be Americans who anglicized their name. This is one of the reasons why I strongly recommend having your DNA tested. Suffice it to say that the DNA pattern among men named Ross supports what I just told you. Genetic tests show men named Ross carrying E, G, and I haplogroups as well as R. However, the data suggests that the largest DNA cluster is associated with Scottish Ross and Rose families. They carry RFT 19124, or a closely related subclade of RL21, which, as we've discussed before, is associated with insular Celtic populations of Europe. At the end of the day, I'm confident that this surname is antebellum and most likely of Scottish origin. Number 2, Laxton. The TON suffix for enclosure or settlement gives us a major clue that this is an Anglo-Saxon habitational name. There are at least 3 places in England named Laxton. One's in Yorkshire, Northamptonshire, and Nottinghamshire in the central part of England. It's a rather rare name in the larger scheme of family sizes, so there's scant information available about their DNA. 2 of the earliest lines of Laxton families in the South that I could find show an early immigrant from Scotland, but I have doubts about a Scottish origin for the family. Now let me explain why. George Fraser Black does not include it in his seminal book on Scottish surnames. Nevertheless, Thomas Laxton, born 1688, died in 1730, was the progenitor of his line in Virginia and the Carolinas that spread to Tennessee and even Texas. Records simply state that he was from Scotland. Given that Yorkshire is close to the Scottish border and is about as far away from the power structure in London as one could be and still be in the land of the Angles, it's more likely that northern England was his home. At the time, there was little to compel immigrants to claim an English ancestry. Many Americans are not aware that Scotland was bought and sold for English gold in 1707 with the Union of Parliaments. It was one of a number of unpopular political moves by the monarchy in the 18th century. Because of the same reasons that would lead to the American Civil Revolution, the English label was tarnished in the backcountry of New England, middle and southern colonies. I suspect that quite a few early English immigrants in America claim to have Irish, Scottish, or Welsh roots. I'll say that I'm confident that Laxton is an antebellum family of English, not Scottish origin. However, I need to point out that one's last name, especially one introduced in colonial era, doesn't always reflect one's genetic or ethnic roots. I might do a video on that. Let me know if you're interested in that topic, and I'll certainly do it for you. There was a lot of hanky-panky in the old barn loft during the colonial and early American eras. Number 3, Huffines, 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 or Huffines. Say, doesn't Huffines sound German? That's because it is. It was given to a man or men named Heinz who worked on or managed a farm, Hof, in what is today Germany. Unlike Ross, this family didn't originate in several countries. It seems to have centered in Ursbach in the northern part of Germany. Johann Jacob Huffines was born there in 1729. He immigrated to Guilford County, North Carolina. He apparently lived for a time in Berks County, Pennsylvania, before relocating to North Carolina, where he died in 1793. His son, Christian Huffines, born in 1763, died in 1853, was born in Berks County, but he moved to Simpson County, Kentucky, where he lived out his life. Clearly, the name had undergone some Americanization within a couple of generations. With it being a rather small family with a generally understood Germanic origin, not many men from this family have taken a DNA test, especially in their Y chromosome. Nevertheless, the prevailing haplogroups in northern Germany would either be RU106, R1A, or I1. Subject to the always possible hanky-panky in the old barn loft scenario, I'm confident that Huffines is an antebellum family of Germanic paternity. Numbers 4 and 5, McBurnett and McBurney. If you sense that McBurnett is a blending of a Gaelic prefix and an Anglo-Norman suffix, you're to be congratulated. It means the son of the little brown-haired one. I have to point out that some folks have switched between McBurnett and McBurney throughout the generations. That's why I'm discussing them together, although they're different names. McBurney was derived from the Scottish Norse MacBjorna, the son of Bjorna. In regard to DNA for McBurnett, I wasn't able to locate data exclusively for men with that name, but there are plenty of men named Burnett who have had their DNA tested. I'm reluctant, though, to assign their results to McBurnett, but I will mention the largest clusters of haplogroups of men named Burnett. There are several clusters within the subclades of IM253, the Old Norse or Scandinavian Northern European haplogroup. 6 men who carry a subclade of JM172 and 144 men that carry RFTC95347 or other subclades within the RM269 haplogroup. Ooh, it's a lot of DNA information there. But this doesn't mean that the RM269 folks share a common ancestor in the last few thousand years. There are over a dozen subclades within RM269. Some are downstream of RL21, but others are not. The year 2650 BC would be the closest date in the past that the RL21 men would have shared a common male ancestor with other subclades of RM269. Of course, the date for a common male ancestor for all those Burnett men would be in the tens of thousands of years in the past. McBurney, on the other hand, features 2 significant clusters within RL21 haplogroup, that is, the haplogroup RL21, RFGC 5600 and RY40019. It looks like Georgia was a popular starting place for the South's McBurnett families. Daniel McBurnett was born around 1750 at an unknown location. He married a woman by the name of Esther Wadsworth. She was born in 1752, died in 1832. In 1775, she married Daniel, who died, by the way, in Georgia, Camden, Georgia, that is, in 1793. This couple is significant because their grandkids lived in Georgia, Arkansas, and Texas. Quite a few McBurney folk moved to Iowa, Wisconsin, and New York without ever being in the South, by the way. William M. McBurney was born in 1809 in Washington County, Pennsylvania, but he later moved to Carroll County, Kentucky. He passed away there in 1889. William had married Catherine Mitchell, born in 1814, died in 1887. She was born in Virginia, and like her husband, she left this world from the bluegrass state of Kentucky. Well, folks, that's about all I have for you today. If you'd like a free copy of the list of names of families that we've covered thus far on the Vantage Point, write to me at VantagePoint22, remember there's 2 N's in Vantage Point, at gmail.com, and I'll send it to you ASAP. Until I see you again, God bless you and yours. Bye-bye.